Good morning to all. I'm Delphy, Head of Intelligent and Sustainable Operations at Capgemini Invent, and we disrupt the way to operate supply chain and manufacturing. Our mission is to transform operation in strategic asset to foster sustainability, efficiency, and customer centricity, and to foster while connecting a new ecosystem through data and technological platform. That is exactly what I intend to keep doing by creating the necessary conditions for my clients to unleash their energy in creating a desirable future. In recent months, a rising number of companies have increased their focus on sustainability. With the higher needs of transparency from our clients, future regulatory requirements, and efforts of e-commerce booming, everything is changed, and the role of supply chain on its environmental impact will be booming. On operations of a consumer company account for more than 80% of the greenhouse gas emission. But first, let's see how a company with a worldwide footprint can meet this challenge, and I'm very pleased today to welcome to Jonathan Zrihen from Clarins.
Hello.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. When we met, you told me that when you joined Clarins in 1993, you were at the beginning of a strong adventure. Can you tell me a word about yourself and about your journey?
Yes, I joined Clarins 29 years ago, and it's been a fantastic ride. Basically, I started as an intern, and I felt very much in sync with the values of the family that owns Clarins, the Courtin Clarins family. I was totally aligned with the great culture, which combined the entrepreneurial spirit and curiosity and agility, and then the philosophy of the customer centricity of Clarins. And then, because I was assigned to fantastic roles, whether it was to internationalize the brand, so I lived in many different continents to help the globalization of the brand. And now today I'm back in the head office and I'm addressing more urgent matters like the ecological agenda or the digital transformation.
Okay, so I can see that you are very hands-on with your team.
Yes, definitely, yes.
And can you introduce Clarins Group and its purpose to meet this new challenge?
Of course, Clarins was born in 1954 by Jacques Courtin Clarins with very strong convictions. One was to listen to women and consumers and making sure that we can deliver highly personalized beauty solutions. And at the same time, there was a very strong conviction of loving nature, because our products are made with plant-based ingredients, so we owe nature the success of our company. So from the very beginning, we ingrained, this idea that every impact of everything that we do has to have an impact, and then we need to measure it, and making sure that we offset any impact we have on the environment. And because we owe nature the success of our company, we always have in mind, how we can reduce our ecological footprint, how we can promote a responsible sourcing, which we'll talk more about today, how we can promote agroforestry, how we can promote organic farming. All of this has been part of our way to do business.
Okay, what a great purpose for all your employees. And today, many companies face challenges in regaining growth and profitability from the current crisis. So how do Clarins can reconcile operational excellence while respecting your commitment in sustainability?
I think, it's very important that the purpose of the company is totally aligned with the commitment we have towards any kind of CSR engagement. And for us, the mission of the company, which is making life more beautiful and passing on to a more beautiful planet, has been kind of the guiding principle for everything that we do. And it's helped us to align all the stakeholders, whether it is our own collaborators, whether it is all our suppliers, towards this goal. And to do this, we have a kind of a double promise. One is taking care of our people, and whether it's our collaborators or taking care of consumers by offering, the right product based on their needs. And then the other one is taking care of the planet. And to make sure that we have a synergy between our commitment and the purpose of the company. We even went a notch further. We decided to revise the status of our company, and following the Pact law, which is a French law that allow company to rewrite the purpose of the company, we put in our company purpose from the very beginning this idea of transmitting a more beautiful planet. So to do that, what you need to do is making sure that you always align all the stakeholders. And because creating products takes a long time, because you need to plan it 5-7 years in advance, you need to make sure that you have written very clearly what are your expectations. So we have 3 ways to do it. First one is to make sure that we have what we call a responsible sourcing chart. We wrote it in 2013, which gave us the opportunity to share it with all our suppliers, ask them to comply with this. And then, because we thought that we have to lead by example, we decided to buy land ourselves and to visualize totally how we can basically, integrate every steps all the way. And for that, we needed to have a very strong commitment that we identified, and we start sharing with all our suppliers. They know exactly, and we start to apply it to ourselves. So, for example, we have been carbon neutral since 2020, but we want to be in 2025 plastic neutral. We want to be and to offer from in the year 2025 only 100% biodegradable formulas, and we want to make sure also that we have plastic, recyclable plastic in every packaging that we have. All these are commitments. We want to be certified B Corp by 2023. So again, we have to put in place everything to be ready for this commitment.
Wow, what a wonderful journey, Jonathan. And you told me that you want to shift your business with at least a tier of your business with a direct-to-consumer approach. So how does it and your commitment for sustainability impact all your operation, and how do you transform your supply chain to answer it?
So again, I think for us what is important is to really understand what is at stake. So by having our own land, which is vertically integrating some of the ingredients, we know how to cultivate, and we know how to harvest, and we know how to use the right ingredients, so we can share this with our suppliers. So much more upfront, we can share this. And then by having the abilities to serve directly our customers, we can put in place the right ecosystem to be able to follow the path of the product. You know, we used to talk, and we're still talking a lot about customer journey. I think what is more and more important today is to follow the product journey, and to be able to share this product journey with your consumers. We're asking a lot of questions to our consumers. We take data from our consumers' questions. I think it's our responsibility to share our data with the consumers and to kind of give a birth certificate of the product by sharing the path that the product has taken. And for us, having the ability to go basically from farm to face and possibility to sell directly to our customers, we can also put in place new measures to recycle our products, for example, to organize communication with our consumers on how the product was built and what was the journey of this product.
Okay, so you talk a lot about data and technology, so how does it make part of this transformation, and what are the key challenges you have launched so far to answer it?
So, as you see, there are many data to collect, because if you really want to offer full traceability, which is one, of course, of our commitment, if we want to offer full traceability, you need to go all the way from the field to the last touch point with the consumer. So there's going to be a lot of data collections, and there's going to be a lot of different stakeholders. So you need to use this data and being able to organize it in a way that there is confidentiality respected, but at the same time, there will be exploitation of this data towards the goal. When we look at traceability, it's for one reason, to make sure that the product has been harvested and cultivated and developed in the way we want towards our commitment, towards the responsible sourcing commitment. But at the same time, it's also an opportunity to offer transparency to our consumers. And with blockchain systems, with QR code coding, we can offer consumers the possibility to follow every steps that has happened from the ingredients to the product formulations, to the product packaging, finally to what will happen to the product when they have it in their hands. So yes, we are now working with companies to organize this data value chain and being able to trace it progressively by making sure that we respect the confidentiality and the integrity of each steps.
Okay. And Jonathan, you have to deal today with more than 150 countries with their specific regulations. How do you deal with the emergence of new law and the future regulatory requirements?
So yes, I mean, we are a very global company. In fact, only 5% of our sales are done in France, so it's a very international brand, which means that we have to comply with 140 regulations. Now, we always welcome these regulations, to be honest, because they are basically a basic requirement. So they are kind of a minimum requirements, and we don't wait for these minimum requirements to be able to be ready. So first, you need a team that understands all these requirements. So you need to have people in charge of understanding the global requirements. But at the same time, you need to put inside the company a way of measuring what we do. And these measurements, you know, they are what we call our internal scoring. And every time we formulate a product, we have the green scoring, which is all about the formulation. And we have the pack scoring, which is all about the impact of the pack and the material that we use on the environment. And we always make sure that these scoring are above all the requirements from the world. So there is a framework, and we'll talk more about, I think, later about the difficulty of making sure that this framework of all the regulations converge toward the same trajectory, but there is a framework, and we intend to always do better than this framework, so we don't have any surprise. So we don't take it as a huge constraint, we take it as the minimum requirement for developing products, and then we push it a little bit a notch further, so there's no bad surprise for us, and we use this scoring to evaluate our products every time we develop them.
Okay, and how do you do to collect the data from your suppliers to have this carbon score?
Yes, so as I said, you know, we create kind of a responsible sourcing chart, which is already making sure that all suppliers know what Clarins is expecting. Then with their agreement, we will do raw materials audit. So we will go all the way to the field to make sure that it was done in the right way. Then we will work with them on how we can collect some data, which are the ones that are going to be confidential and which are the ones that we can share with our consumers, because some of them may be confidential. And then by doing it ourselves on our own field, we can kind of balance it and say to them, look, this is how we did it. Can you do it the same? Because we want to promote, you know, for example, wild hand picking for several ingredients. Can you do that? We want to promote, you know, organically farmed ingredients. Can you convert some of your ingredients into this? And by doing this, basically, we kind of create a leveling of expectations to manage it. The other part, which I believe is important, will be to make sure that as an industry, we can come together and create several associations or cooperation to organize, you know, a set of criteria that could be shared with the suppliers, because suppliers supply, you know, several brands, several companies. If we agree on the expectation, it will be easier for them to organize themselves and offer ingredients that are in line with the responsible sourcing definition of each company. So we have started an initiative with L'Oréal, Yves Rocher and Coty, which is called the Responsible Sourcing Initiative, which allowing us to, again, offer a framework for the suppliers, and then they can basically work with this framework.
Okay. And now can you share with us a little of all the experience that you have learned from those initiatives you carry out, and maybe a word about this unprecedented crisis management and what you have learned from these two?
So I think, first of all, if there's one thing that the COVID-19 has taught us, is that the fragility of the world and the interconnection of the world. And when we talk about global warming, when we talk about pollution, we all know that these are global problems. And I think there's going to be more and more conscious about this situation. So the environmental agenda is now becoming very urgent for all governments and for all companies. So since this is at the top of the priority today, we can see that most companies are organizing themselves toward that. As far as we're concerned, the first thing that we've been doing is changing a little bit the mindset. We used to think, on what type of progress can we make to basically offer a better planet. Now we believe it's better to commit to goals with deadlines and making sure that you align the whole corporations towards this goal. What you learn is that it takes time because you cannot basically, when you develop products that takes 5-7 years, overnight, but you have to start very much in advance to make sure that in 3-5 years, everything that you do will be in line with the commitments. You need perseverance, and you need to make sure that your company purpose integrates so you can share inside the company, and it becomes a positive discussion. It's not about imposing constraint about the development of the product or the way you're selling the product. It's more about being part of something a little bit bigger, which is these are the commitments. We want to be plastic neutral. We want to be certified. We want to have 100% of our sourcing responsible. You can be part of it in your role by doing this. And we give a scorecard to all our employees to make sure that they integrate in their actions their contribution to this goal. And that is something very, very important.
Yeah, I see that you talk a lot about commitment, and I see that it's very important to you. And this is what we have shared, the difference between commitment and engagement. And yeah, and in what do you want to commit? And what are the main challenges for tomorrow that we'll want to face?
So commitment, as I said, we want and we recognize that we have a responsibility as a company to pass on a more beautiful planet. This is part of our commitment, and this is the mission of the company. To do that, we believe that as an industry which has a lot of products and a lot of packaging, we need to collectively find creative solutions for the recycling of all the plastic ingredients, of the plastic materials that we have. And we made the commitment, as I say, to have 100% of our material to be recyclable by 2025. So every year we are making progress, and every year we are challenging suppliers to find solutions or to work with us to find new solutions for packaging. We want to make sure that out of the very vast number of natural ingredients that we use, more than 220, 80% of these ingredients will be organically farmed and will be done in a certain way that respect the soil and respect the populations that are involved. So we want to make sure that we have fair trade agreements with every ingredient that we take from countries that have a lower development index. And we want to make sure that we can give back by having, reforestry impact along the way. So all of this are, as I said, purposely led, and we are making progress every year. But you were talking about challenges. I talk about the recycling. I think probably the biggest challenges that we are facing today is, one, you talk about regulations, and I think the key word to make progress will be cooperation. Cooperation of governments, so they can all kind of agree on what are the clear objectives on their ecological agenda. Because even though we need to comply, it will be better, instead of responding to bureaucratic, I would say bureaucratic appreciations of the objectives, it will be better that at least at the European community level or global level, there are a set of criteria that we can agree upon so we can all work in the same direction. And then cooperation within the industry. I talked a little bit about what we have started to do with some companies. I think we can go further. Competition is great, and it can be very fierce when it's all about selling the products. But when it touches the common goal, the common goods of people, I think as an industry we can all come together and find solutions. And this is what we'd like to do with more and more companies, to find solutions for our ecological agenda.
Okay. And from the current crisis, the e-commerce is booming. So how can you see the impact of the e-commerce on the environmental impact? Because there will be more transportation, distribution ways. How do you deal with it?
So again, it's part of the measures that we have in everything that we do.
Okay.
So when we open a new website, when we open a new logistical route, we always try to look at that. And I think today we need to balance the need of people that when they click and they want the products on a 24 hours period, we need to educate them and explain that they can wait 2 or 3 days and they will participate. So to encourage that, we will incentivize the decision to accept to receive the product a little bit later. At the same time, we used to have an ecosystem, a logistical footprint that was delivering stores. Now that we have to deliver, people, because the weight of our e-commerce is so important, we have launched a new project, which is to rethink our ecological footprint by taking into consideration all the orders that we have. But I think, again, education, communication, implication of our consumers into our roadmap to make it less of an ecological footprint is the best way. And even incentivize it by offering, some free shipping if they accept to be delivered a little bit later.
Okay, so you talk about communication, but do you have a specific plan to train your vendors to tell the consumers the story of all your products, and how do you deal with all the vendors in all the countries?
So it has been a lot of education and training. You need to take every people in your purchase team, but as I said, we do it with the whole company because it's the purpose of the company. So we trained all our purchase teams to be able to explain to the suppliers the requirement. We use audit company like the EcoVadis system to make sure that the suppliers comply even before we choose them with, because there's a note that is given, and then based on this note we know if the supplier will be part of our suppliers team. And then, as I said, we ask them to go on the field to check it. And it's very important because we don't go on the field only to check it. We go on the field to discuss and try to find new solutions of a responsible sourcing. It's kind of a new role for them. They used to purchase on the price, on the availability of materials. Now they need to purchase with qualitative criteria, and helping them to go on the field and meet with them and compare with our own field, with our practices, is giving them the possibility to develop with the supplier, hand in hand, the required solutions.
And do you have a last word for all the engines for the transition to this desirable future?
I'm going to repeat myself, cooperation is going to be the key word, because whether it's cooperation with the suppliers, whether it's cooperation within the industry with competitors, or whether it's cooperation with government, there is, now everybody see it, an urgency. So to tackle it, we have to work together. And when we work together, we usually find much better and quicker solutions.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for all the relevant insights you shared today, and for the role Clarins is playing in this transition to this circular world for your clients and your partners.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. So companies are facing new challenges, especially with the strengthening of visibility and transparency. So we can see that supplier collaboration, traceability, and a design to sustain approach are the key levers for tomorrow. But for more, responsible innovation will be the way for tomorrow. And today, I'm very pleased to address emergent actors that are convinced to have a transformation impact in this business. And they propose disruptive way to develop a sustainable supply chain. And I'm pleased to welcome Ana Selina Haberbosch and Maxime Deguine. Good morning, Maxime.
Good morning.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
Hello. Good.
Hello.
Good.
Maxime, so you have launched your website with a new ID, and you have now 55,000 of clients. Can you tell us more about your ID and your purpose?
We have a very clear and simple purpose. It's to invent a new consumption system that will be sustainable for future generations. And basically, we want to achieve this ambition of a new consumption model with a very simple idea, but very efficient idea, which is to remove everything that is useless. We believe that in the products we consume, there is so many things that are useless and that we don't need. And if we remove this and focus on what really matters, which is a healthy product, an ecological product, and a fair price, we can really change the world.
Wow, so you are here to change the world with disruptive idea. What a great journey. And you, Ana, when we met, you told me about the first seeds that you planted. So can you tell me more? How do you tell the clients the story of the products thanks to your technological platform?
Yes, of course. So basically, Seedtrace was really born of a frustration I think we can all relate to, which is a lack of a connection between the very origin of products and the social and ecological impact that our consumer choices have, and then obviously on the other side, us as consumers. So this is where our idea came from, that we really need a platform that encourages and enables businesses to be more transparent along their supply chains. And it came from the work of my co-founder, Katrina, and myself, and we worked establishing direct trade opportunities with farms in Africa who did amazing jobs. And then you see these products in the supermarket shelves alongside many others, and you always take a political decision, but it's almost impossible as consumers to understand them. So what we do and how we do it is that we provide a digital platform where businesses can manage and also prove their impact claims about their products or their companies as a whole. Now, this involves different levels, obviously, of sustainability, and I like to always explain it in 4 levels, because I couldn't agree more with what Jonathan said before. It's really a process and a step-by-step approach. So the first one is that as a business, you can go to the Seedtrace platform and then you can map your supply chain, you can enrich it with information, with product information, with media, and so on. And then the next step would be to really put evidence to the impact claims, right? So either you confirm it because you cooperate with third-party organizations, NGOs, or certifying bodies, or you support it with internal evidence. And you can make claims such as X% recyclable material or fair payments at the very source. And then the last thing is obviously to make them traceable. So as an example, to put this maybe a little more tangible, we are working with a cacao syrup producer in Ghana where we prove fair payments to farmers there, which is a very, very critical subject. And we do this through a 3-level verification process where we assure that those transactions really happened, that people really are paid fairly. And in the end, if I have my chocolate in hand, I know who has been paid for this specific chocolate and how much, and trace it back to the very source of it.
Thank you, Ana. And you, Maxime, if we come back to La Marque en Moins, can you say how do you organize the operations to fit to your purpose?
We started on a blank page, and we said, what do we need? So we started with cleaning products, because we believe that in cleaning products, there are many things that are not useful. And so we started with a blank page and to talk with customer, which is the most important when you have a direct-to-consumer business. And we ask them, what is the most important for you? And when we're talking about cleaning products, there are products that are very dangerous for health, that are very dangerous for the planet, and that people want to be efficient, because if you don't do efficient products, they won't buy the products. So we started with these 3 points, and we looked at it. And then when you look at the list of ingredients, you will discover that basically in cleaning products, 80 to 90% of the product is water. So basically, you're going in a shop, and you're buying something that is made of water and plastic. That's what you're buying today. So that was the main idea. And we say, OK, everybody at home have water and can fill the bottle or something else. So we said we will remove the water of the product. That was the first idea. And so we created products that have only the active part to clean. And then we looked at this active part and we say, how can we make it natural, biodegradable? And that's then the last step was how to sell the product to the customer, because it's very important to say how you can create a good product, but then how you can sell to the customer. And I think the most important things in the part of selling to the customer is that you need to have the control. Because if you sell the product to someone, then we'll sell it to the customer. First, you will never hear feedback from your customer, which is the most important thing. The data we have from the customer, what the customer wants is the most important thing. So you don't have this feedback on your product. You can't improve your product on its efficiency, on its sustainability. And so we wanted to control every step to make sure that we deliver our promise, even if in what we do, not everything is perfect. We're a young company, and we're transparent too to the customer, saying, this we don't do well today, but we want to improve. Do you have any idea how you can help us to improve?
Yeah, and you told me that it was very important to have an end-to-end view, not to do greenwashing, for example. So
yeah, I think this is the most difficult things today is how you can have information that you can rely on. So when we express to customer what we're doing, we're trying to really be fair about what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, because if there is one thing that we are critical, we are a very positive company, we want to change things, but today it's too easy to share information that are not really efficient. You can see on TV ads and cleaning products, our product is biodegradable, sorry. And when you're looking at it specifically and you go on the website, you see that the product is 75% maybe. And then you look at the regulation, and the regulation is 70%. So how you can say to customer, my product is 70% biodegradable, sorry, and then the regulation is 65, 70. So it's very important for us that when you share information, you need to prove the information you share. So we do tests on every product. It's very important for us. But today I see the main point is to be able to rely on information for customer.
Okay. And you, Ana, do you think that you can help Maxime to have this reliable information to tell the customer the story of the products of La Marque en Moins, for example?
Yeah. Again, I can only basically subscribe to what Maxime already said. So I think it's very important to acknowledge basically inside and out as a company or also as Seedtrace and as a consumer that it's a process and that we need to be really communicating about where we're standing and that we're constantly trying to improve and that no one has it all figured out from 1 to 0, that's for sure. So if we would now cooperate with La Marque en Moins, we might not be able to trace every product back to its source by tomorrow, but of course that's what we focus on. So we could definitely support, and I believe that for a company like La Marque en Moins, who really favors local and short supply chains and to put really transparency at their core from the get-go, it obviously is easier to implement proof as well than maybe for larger corporations. So what was interesting for me now to hear from Maxime is really this connection to consumer. So what we would do is that we really would look at what is your supply chain, what is the claims that you make, and how can we put evidence to this. So we would really provide the platform that connects all the dots, but then also make sure that you as a company can learn about your consumers. And I believe that this was absolutely true and is kind of lacking in the industry still, is to be able to learn about what do consumers want to know and are they able to understand and grasp the complexity of the subject. So we typically play back information and data as well on a product level so that the companies can know what do people care about, do they understand the processes, are we doing enough, where do we need to be more informative and more clear about the subjects. And then obviously if a company wants to engage in real-time tracing, we would have to look very specifically at the corporations along the chain. How do we collect data, what can we improve, and how do you cooperate with downstream or upstream actors along the supply chain?
Okay, thank you, Ana. And if tomorrow I'm called Seedtrace to have the traceability of my products, for you, what are the main challenges while implementing this technology platform in my company?
Yeah, so as we already basically all emphasized, it's always a step-by-step approach. So first of all, we need to acknowledge that and really be aware of that. And then if we really want to truly implement transparency for us, the first step would be to evaluate the status quo, right? Very uniquely to every company. So it's easy on our platform to start off, to really communicate what do you know, to map your actors along the supply chain, all steps, and then enrich it with the information. Then the second step would be to look at what claims do we have. So for example, is it biodegradable, as you said, Maxime, or are we using recyclable packaging? Are our suppliers certified? And then provide this information and get it confirmed through the platform. Now, obviously, then, if I may again get back to my example, if we really want to get deep, and this is a step-by-step process with our partner in Ghana, is now, first of all, we start at the very source, right? So we prove payments to farmers, and we store critical information on the blockchain to make it really open through the network and to make it irrevocably stored. Now, once we have proven that, then we will start tracing the batch from the very source to the supplier, so that ideally at some point, the very end consumer is able to see everything along the chain. So it's a step-by-step process, and I think that's important to acknowledge and to start off somewhere and then see what claims you can provide evidence to and how you can build more trust, but also this emotional connection that is lacking with consumers.
Thank you, Anna. And you, Maxime, you told me that it's not only about environmental impact, but with social impact, and the company has to make some choices. Can you tell us more about the choices you have to make for that?
In the way of creating this new consumption model, we believe that the world of tomorrow will be local or will not be. If you take a step back and look at what we're doing today and what the crisis we were or are in now with COVID is proving to us, is that the world needs to go from global to local. That's a belief. Nobody has to agree with me, but in La Marque Moins, we believe that everything needs to be local, and in our production, we want to make sure that everything is local. So it's going through the ingredients you select, then to the companies that are all based in France, our supplier, and then we sell only in France. And this is very important, because if you want to really have an impact, you can say today, I'm producing in Germany, and even going to France with a product is too far. I mean, I think the consumer want transparency, but they also want a product that is very close to you, and they can refer to and even know the producter. So it's true for food. But when you come to cleaning products, for example, you never really know where your product is based and where it's been produced. And it's very important to us to work with local population in order to create a product that have a lot of meaning into it.
Thank you. And both of you, what are the next steps for your companies? Anna, do you want to start?
Yes, of course. So at this point, we are really focusing on the traceability project that we are launching in Ghana and Switzerland, which is very dear to our heart, because we also come not only from the ecological impact perspective, but also try to really address more softer and qualitative aspects. So this is something we focus on now this summer. And then we also are looking at really deepening our platform, making it smarter, making it able to benchmark, obviously, because if we want to confirm claims, we need to be able to compare them as well. So this is right now our very big goal, and to engage more and more in such projects, to find partners to do this together with, and to really drive the industry towards more transparency.
And for you, Maxime?
If we want to have an impact, we need to be at scale. So we need to scale. We're very proud after 1 year after launch, we have already 50,000 customers. But we really want to scale into France. But in startup, you often say sky is the limit. I would say that planet is the limit for us. And we don't want to be the leader. We want to be the best, which means that we want to be the leader with our value. So we will not try to be the leader in the market with compromising with our value. We want to stay with what our value are, with transparency, with impact, engagement, sustainability, and scale at this level. And that's where I think the difficulty is, because when you grow, at some point you have decision you have to make. And I think it's a tough call sometimes to say, this is our value, and we want do this that could bring growth because our value are here. And it's very important, and that's something we remind ourselves a lot. It's in the office, in big, our values, in order to make sure we don't compromise with it.
And do you want to extend your company to other products? Because you start with products from home. So do you have another plan to go further?
We don't know what we will be doing tomorrow. The main point is that we need to change the way consumption is today. So this is the start. At the short term, we're doing cleaning products, laundry, dishwashing tablets. We are going to launch new products that are still in the category of cleaning products, but it's very difficult to do a product launch if you're really specific on the impact on everything you do. So we prefer to launch few products that are well sold, that we have time to measure the impact, than to try to scale and launch a lot of products. We want to make sure that the product we put on the market is what we say it will be. So we don't want to go too fast. Again, planet is the limit, not sky is the limit. We need to bring a product if it adds value to the market. If it's to create a product that's exactly the same as other, I don't think it will be useful. And another point is that we need to acknowledge that there are a lot of companies, small companies, startups that are doing great work. When I'm thinking about food, when I'm thinking about cosmetics, there are a lot of people with a lot of energy that are bringing new value to the market and that we support. And our assumption that when we talk about cleaning product, it was not the case, and something needed to be changed. So that's why we focus mainly on this product.
Okay. And what do you see from your clients? Do you see some trends? Who are your clients? What kind of population do you have?
Our clients is our community. We see people that want to engage. I think that's the most important point. Maybe it will not be the case tomorrow, but today, the person we have, they want to engage. It means that we have a lot of interaction with them. We started a community, which is La Marque Ensemble, which is a community of La Marque en Moins. And basically, when we launch a product, when you are talking about launch of new product, we start with them. So basically, we're going to launch soon a product for the floor. I'm going to take this example. We ask them, what do you want? What is the most important for you? To remove the plastic in the product, it's important that to have a scent for the product, but it needs to be no allergies into it. That's the main point, basically. I need to be efficient on all floors. So I don't have a product for a kind of floor, for another kind of floor, a product that will be for all floor. And from this, we go to our partner and we work. We do product. We send them back to the customers. They try it. I don't like this. I don't like it. And we start over. Sometimes it's 3, 4, 5 times. So it can take basically 6 months to launch a product, to start a product. And then when we are happy and we have a rating over 8, then we launch a product. So our customers are people that are active, that want to change the world, that believe that small company can make a difference.
Okay. And you, Ana, from your clients, because you work with great companies, so what do you see from the new client expectations?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the expectation from, let's say, so we are a B2B business, right? But we focus a lot on bridging that gap to B2C, to consumers as well. And I think one major issue is that the trend is clear, right? Everyone wants to be more sustainable in their consumer choices. But if you only look at the numbers, so most people will say that they are looking to buy more sustainably, but are they really able to? So most people, wherever you go in a supermarket and a fashion store, you're a bit overwhelmed, and it's not really a surprise if you look at the fact that certifications, labels, and everything has increased like tenfold in the last 20 to 30 years. So I think there's really a desire both from companies and consumers to do different. And what we need to be able to do is to bring those two together and kind of also gap bridge the gap really between what is there, what do companies do, what can they do, and then what are we able to actually transmit to consumers and to really communicate in a clear manner.
Thank you, Ana. And you made the choice to invest in technology to transform the business impact. So for you, what are the role of technology, and with all the new technologies that are coming, how can you help and integrate this in your solution?
Yeah. Absolutely. So really our background was, as I said, a physical product, right? So my co-founder, Katrina, she was going to export a physical product. Now, if we do that, we can support on a smaller scale some farmers to tell their story, to get fair payment and so on. But we realized that if we want to scale impact mainly, then we need to build something that can be really transferred to a multitude of companies. Then obviously with the different technologies that we have, we can bring just a much deeper, clearer transparency to the sphere. So it's definitely not always transferable one-to-one, our approaches, but our platform makes it very easy to start off with and to engage in telling your story. And I believe that if we do it right, technology obviously is an incredible leverage to build transparency across different actors along the chain, to make sure everyone has the same information, and to bring a different level to transparency. Because right now we have kind of a salad between storytelling and then transparency becomes a buzzword, and then we sometimes have greenwashing, and all of this relates back to the consumer who doesn't really know how to make the choices. So if we bring in technology, we'll be able to make it much more tamper-proof, and to put evidence behind the claims that companies make, and thereby really push everyone to do better, really, and to put evidence behind what we claim.
And how do you deal with the great amount of data that will come in tomorrow for the company?
Yeah. So how do we deal with that great amount of data? Well, one important thing for us, certainly, is the blockchain, so that we can really connect every actor along the chain in an open system. So I believe that it's quite important to also say it's not the solution for everything, right? So especially if we look at the impact sphere, we need to make sure that we understand how does the data get where it is stored, right? Not only how it is stored. But I think that this is a very crucial aspect, and it really means that we integrate all actors along the chain. And then we always come back to, the subjects that we had in the very beginning. Cooperation is key. So if we cannot cooperate closely with our suppliers, if we don't know where our ingredients come from, and if we cannot find a common system and agreement of what the conditions are, then the data won't really help us. So we need to come to one level where we can do that, and we can cooperate much better, and then share information across a more open network, which doesn't necessarily mean that you need to share every internal business information with everyone along the chain, right? That's not what it means, but it means that it allows to do that where it is necessary and where it is important to do so.
Okay, so I see that you have the solution, Anna, for us. And
well, I would definitely agree that we have a little part of it, and we all need to work together to make that work and make it improve step by step.
Okay, and so both of you start with your idea. So today, what would you say for someone who wants to start creating a desirable future?
I would say that you need to start with customer. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm repeating all the time the same thing, but people want to change, but you need to adapt to their needs. If you do a cleaning product that is not efficient, you're not going to achieve anything. So at first, you need to listen to your customer, and I think it's easier. It's really easier today to launch something that it was 20 years, 30 years ago. So everybody that have an idea and want to contribute to this sustainability need to do it. It's very important. We need everybody in this fight because this is a fight. We need to be clear on it. To change things, we don't have the time to do it slowly. We need to do something we need to do something now. And the most important advice, listen to customer and don't compromise, I think will be the main point, yeah.
And for you, Anna, what will be your advice and maybe the difficulty you go through and how you deal with it?
Yeah, so I guess if you really want to drive change and push the industry or drive change at a larger scale, I think one very important aspect is to acknowledge that it's a process, right? So especially in our fear, so now we start verifying payments in rural areas. There's no electricity, there's no internet, right? So in the first moment, you might be just overwhelmed, like, how am I going to solve this? So I think the first advice that I would give is no one has invented the wheel in a day. And as we say in Germany, no master has fallen from the sky, right? So approach it step by step and build a network that can support you in doing so. And then the second thing, I totally agree with Maxime again, is listen to the customers, but also listen to everyone you have impact on. So every stakeholder you want to reach, you want to help, and you want to do good with, you need to listen to them and to understand to what extent qualitative or quantitative metrics you can measure, and you can really make a difference.
Thank you very much, both of you, for sharing your experience. I think that it was very tremendous for all the audience. And as a conclusion, we can see that creating a sustainable value chain is with different steps, as Anna just said. So first, measure and then decarbonate operation. then monitor the entire product lifecycle from design to end of life to support a growth position and in order to create new business models. But we will have several challenges to tackle. How to manage the transition phase to the circular world, how to create this cooperation we have talked today and with the suppliers, how to create branches to master a closed-loop supply chain, and finally, how to harness the power of technology and data to provide a reliable information to gain clients' trust. Thank you very much for all.
Thank you.